Management is a critical component of sustainable tourism, ensuring that destinations remain ecologically, socially, and economically viable while enhancing visitors' experience. It involves a combination of planning, regulations, infrastructures, economic tools, marketing strategies, technology, and education to balance tourism growth with conservation efforts. Effective visitors management is multifaceted, requiring a strategic blend of regulations design, economic instruments, technology, and education. By controlling visitor impact, destinations can protect natural and cultural heritage while ensuring a high quality tourism experience. Introduction to visitor management. Tourism significantly impacts destinations due to visitor presence, activities, and behaviors. Effective management of visitors' volume, timing, and seasonality can first enhance positive tourism outcomes, second, minimize negative environmental, social, and economic effects. Carrying capacity. Carrying capacity in tourism definitions based on the UN World Tourism Organizations or UNWTO. Um, the maximum number of people that may visit a tourist destinations without causing distractions to its physical, economic, and socio-cultural environment while ensuring visitor satisfaction remains acceptable. Um, Three types of carrying. First, environmental carrying capacity, the ability to ecosystem to enjoy visitors' activity without significant damage. Second, physical carrying capacity, the infrastructure's ability to support tourism activities, ability activities and maintain quality standards. Last, third, psychological perceptual carrying capacity, the limit beyond which visitor satisfaction declines due to overcrowding. Influencing carrying capacity. Destinations characteristics, local resources, ecosystem vulnerability, economic structure, cultural heritage, tourism type, defines tourist behavior, community relationships, and environmental interactions. Community involvement, local participation ensure balance between tourism growth and sustainability. Implementing and assessment of carrying capacity should complement overall tourism development plans, requires upper and lower capacity limits to regulate growth. Regular monitoring and adjustments are necessary for sustainable tourism, requires participation from government bodies, community stakeholders, and tourism operators to set realistic limits. Um, First, complementing tourism development plans. Example, Boracay's rehabilitation plans aligns with national tourism policies promoting sustainable tourism. The government introduced new regulations ensuring tourism growth respects environmental sustainability balance, conversation with economic benefits. Second, setting upper and lower capacity limits. Authorities establish a daily visitor cap, restricting the number of tourists allowed into the island at any given time. Lodging establishments were required to adhere to new capacity limits, preventing overcrowding. Beaches, access, water activities, and commercial permits were regulated to control tourism density. Regular monitoring and adjustments. Continuous water quality testing ensured compliance with environmental standards. Periodic assessment of carrying capacity helps adjust visitor limits based on updated conservation data. Local businesses adapted by developing eco-friendly accommodations and enforcing waste management policy. Fourth, multi-stakeholders participations. The rehabilitations involve government agencies, including The Department um, of Tourism DNR and local government units, community stakeholders such as local residents, research owners, and transport operators collaborated to maintain sustainable tourism practices. Private tourism operators and business were required to adhere new environmental guidelines to retain operating permits. Institutional tools for implementing capacity, tools for new protection. Um, A. Natura 2000 or EO protected areas. B. Habitats Directive. C. ICOM Red List or Archaeological and Cultural Protection. D. IUCN Red List or Threatened Species Inventory. D. Environmental Impact Assessments or EEIA. For implementing carrying capacity. A. Zoning applied mainly in protected areas or organized tourism areas based on ecological sensitivity. Zone A. Strict protections, only scientists allowed. Zone B. Limited entry with guided visits. Zone C. Traditional tourism activities allowed with restrictions. Zone D. Mild development visitor facilities permitted. Zone A. Strict protection. Only scientists allowed. Darwin Research Stations, Galapagos Islands or Ecuador. The station is dedicated to research and conservation, focusing on protecting endangered species like giant tortoises. Stations Bermuda, a marine research site studying ocean health, climate change, and marine ecosystem. Zone B, limited entry with guided visits. Tubataha Reefs Natural Park, Philippines, a UNESCO protected marine biodiversity hotspot with strict visitor regulations. Zone C, traditional tourism activities with restrictions. Komodo National Park, Indonesia, famous for Komodo dragons. This national park allows regulated tourism including trekking, diving, and wildlife observation. Development visitor facilities permitted. Banff National Park in Canada includes hotels, restaurants, and visitor centers alongside natural attractions. Sentosa Islands in Singapore developed tourism hub with research, beaches, and attractions, but environmental sustainability measures apply. B. Recreation Opportunity Spectrum or ROS. The Recreation Opportunity Spectrum ROS is a framework used to analyze and plan recreational activities with natural settings. It considered a physical, biological, social, and managerial conditions that defines the recreational experience. ROS. ROS identifies and categorizes different recreation settings based on there are three types: natural qualities, vegetation, landscape, scenery, and topography. Second, recreation used. Visitor density, activity types, impact levels. Last, management conditions, rules, regulations, infrastructures, and accessibility. By combining variations of these elements, different recreational experience can be designed and managed. ROS or ROS. ROS serves several purposes in tourism planning. First, allocation and planning helps determine suitable land use for tourism activities. Second, resource inventory identifies existing recreational areas and their capabilities. Third, impact analysis predicts how management decisions affect visitor experience and environmental sustainability. Fourth, matching visitor expectations ensures recreation opportunities align with what tourists seek.
major function of ROS, planning when determining recreational opportunities. So there are three core concepts to be considered. First, we have the relative availability, ensuring diverse recreation choice are accessible. It is like for example, providing both hikes, trails, and picnics areas. So in that way, that visitors have different kind of perspective in the place, or they have choices. The second is that reproducibility of or reversibility, modern experience. Example, resort. Uh, so the resort can be reproduced through technology, and it will not consume a lot of time. While for example, the wilderness, it's hard to restore because it consumes time in order to the plant to grow. Number three, the spatial distribution. Recreational activity must be strategically placed to avoid conflict. For example, you are developing a camping ground. It should not be next to the isolated nature reserve, so that nga dili guba ang landscape. Sites management techniques, a strategy to reduce visitor impact. So we have 9 different kind of strategies. First, seasonal limits, regulating peak season visitors numbers. Number 2, guide tours, controlled group movement, better management. Behavioral restrictions, noise limit to movement restriction near with the wild habitats. Number 4, zoning, closing certain area to a visitor or reduce visit ecologically important areas. Increase interest fee for the peak periods for popular areas to minimize tourists. Infrastructure development roadwalks, designed path to minimize the disturbance. Garbage management provide a disposal of the discouraged littering. Interest fee variables based on the peak of the season. At last, visitors education guidelines, code of conduct to encourage responsible behavior. Monitoring visitors' impact, assesses compliance with tourism sustainability standards, identifies determination substandards, conditions, equip overall actions, alternative frameworks for managing visitors' impact, a limit acceptable change or LAC, an alternate to a tourism carrying capacity, stakeholders to define sustainability tourism. So basically, LAC is a framework for managing industry by defining thresholds for sustainable impact rather than just focusing on one number of visitors carrying capacity. Identifying the concern and site-specific issue, recognize the unique challenges at a site. For example, erosions in coastal part. Identifying the heavy foot traffic damage a hiking trail. Number 2, defining tourist opportunities for different location. Determine what type of tourism are appropriate for each area. For example, allowing ecotourism in a forest area but limiting the large group of tour projectors biodiversity. Number 3, selecting indicators to measure tourism impact. Choose a specific metric to track how tourism affect the site. Example, visitors number waste level. Tracking the number of visitors to a coral reef and measuring water quality. Number 4, establishing baseline data on the tourist-related change. Gather initial data on current site conditions. Recording the number of plant species in a nature reserve before tourism increases. Number 5, setting acceptable impact. Limits before invention decide the level of impact that can be tolerated before action is needed. For example, determining the number of visitors to a park should not exceed 500 per day to avoid damaging the ecosystem. Number 6, continuous monitoring to assess effectiveness. Regularly check if the site conditions are staying within the acceptable limits. For example, monthly check on waste management and trail conditions. Number 7, applying corrective measures when standards are exceeded. Implement actions to reduce negative impact if limits are exceeded. Closing a trail temporarily allow generation of if it is become or if it is being overused by the tourist. This approach helps the balance of the tourist group growth with environmental protections by focusing on managing impact rather than just limiting visitors. Measures of success method. This approach integrates continuous monitoring to assess the effectiveness of tourist managing over time. It helps track if goals are being met, and whether the intervention are working. For an example, if a park implements a new waste management program, the measure of the success would be to track the reductions of the waste and improve in park cleanliness over several seasons. So let's proceed. Threat reductions assessment. This method identifies the specific environment or the social threat caused by tourists and measures the success of effort to reduce to those threats. For example, if over-tourism harming local wildlife, that the threat reduction assessment might track the success of the effort like limiting visitors number for implementing seasonal closure to protect the animal habitats. Determinants of tourist behavior. Ship-based tourism, quick visit to a multiple destination. For example, cruise passengers stopping at coastal port for a new hours. Land-based tourism, longer stays with a deeper inclination. For example, tourism, hiking and camping in a national park. Experienced travelers, it may need a incentive or educational change behavior. For example, offering discount for sustainable practice. Next, visitor management tools. Regulatory tools, rules to control behavior. For example, visitors limiting the number of the visitors of a coral reef. Planning tools, strategic planning to manage tourism growth. For example, zoning the park in different activities like hiking and camping. Key regulatory and planning strategies. So there are three primary approach regarding regulating visitors' impact. First, use rationing, implemented when a site experiences excessive tourism pressure, potentially harming the environmental, social, or economic conditions. Number 2, rules and regulations, enforced to prevent environmental degradation and protect visitors' experience quality. Number 3, zoning, as we tackled earlier, used to assign the restrict activity with area-based environmental sensitivity. Connection to recreation opportunity. Spectrum, or in short, we call it the ROS. Zoning is closely related to ROS, which classifies different visitors' experience. Sitting based on the natural conditions in structured and expect visitors' behavior. Ensure the primitive and modern recreational opportunities are kept separated, avoid environmental conflicts. So basically zoning, it divides the area into specific recreational settings like primitive or development area to match visitors' expectation and minimize the conflicts between the tourists. For example, zoning a national park into areas for backcountry, hiking, primitive, and areas for developed camping with facilities. Modern, ensure the natural environment is preserved while offering different experiences. So, why these tools matter? First, to protect natural and cultural resource. It helps prevent the overuse and degradation of the site. For example, limiting visitors sensitive wildlife areas to protect engaged species. Second, the main high visitor satisfactions. Balance tourism activity to meet visitors' expectation without causing overcrowding. For example, offering designated photography spot to avoid overcrowding and ensure quality experience. Number three, encourage sustainable development. Promotes controlled growth of long-term tourism success. For example, planning for a new hotels only in a certain zone to avoid overwhelming natural areas. And at last, site designed and sustainable. Infrastructure design. Tourism facilities should focus on sustainable by of course being nature adapted and culturally aligned. Ensure designs complement the local environment and respect the cultural traditions. For example, using a local building materials that blend with the landscape and reflect the regional architecture. Second, using eco-friendly materials and renewable energy. Minimize the environmental impact by choosing the sustainable materials and energy source. For example, installing a solar panels and using recycled materials by building structures. Let's proceed. Considering the local community involvement, engaging local communities in the design process to align with their needs and values. For example, hiring local artisans for decorations and building projects to support the community. Key consideration in site design. When planning the tourism infrastructure, several factors need to be taken in account. First, environmental compatibility. Ensure the infrastructures adapt to the local ecosystem and biodiversity. Visitors need to be experienced the optimized location of the comfort, accessible, and cultural immersion while minimizing the environmental disturbance. At last, sustainable resource management. Integrate water conservation, energy efficient, and waste management solutions. Guiding principles for sustainable infrastructures. The International Union for Conservation of Nature, or the UCN, utilities the principle of the sustainable infrastructure development, adopt the ecosystem-based approach to tourism planning, manage the biodiversity impact through responsible construction and conservation effort, design infrastructures in harmony with the natural, adapt to the base solution, respect and involve the support communities planning and decision making, and at last, foster the collaboration and among stakeholders to achieve the sustainability goals. Sustainable infrastructures guideline. Material selection prioritize durable, recyclable, and locally available materials to reduce environmental impact. Climate adaptations. Utilize natural climate controls of cooling, energy efficient, and air circulations. Landscaping. Use native plant for vegetation barrier, a natural insect control, and erosion prevention. Infrastructures adjustment. If a site is experiencing negative environmental impact, considers the moratorium on new development removal damaging structures. Sustainable transportation and travel patterns. Sustainable transportation focus on minimizing the environmental impacts, reduced congestions, and promoting the eco-friendly alternative in tourism destination. These solutions enhance the visitor experience while preserving the integrity of a natural cultural site. Sustainable tourism transportation strategies. Several methods can be used to reduce tourism-related traffic congestions and environmental damage. So first, we have the public transit and alternative transport. So it encourages low carbon collective transport options such as shuttle, buses, trams, cycling, and walking. It also reduces the number of private vehicles accessing natural sites. and also ensures the reliable transport schedules to improve visitors' mobility. Congestions in tourism areas. Additional capacity, or we call it as AC, expanding a parking areas according to the level of the accommodate to accommodate more visitors. Electronic system or ES, digital signs as visitors apps inform travelers about the parking availability, traffic conditions, and congestion level. Third, the public transportation or PT, shuttle service reduce reliance on private vehicles, lowering emissions and timing traffic within the park and heritage sites. Traffic operation improvement or T- TTO. Um, Road sign, speed control, measure and a better traffic flow regulation prevent unnecessary congestions. And at last, the visitor demand management or the VDM, reservation system, peak hour restrictions and ticketing policies control visitors flow and avoid overcrowding.
Okay, once again, good afternoon. My name is Annalisa Nico. So, um, I will tackle about the enforcement and regulations. So, they have soft measurements, signage, an interpretive message, educational campaigns, soft enforcement, and also includes facility designs and signage and visible security personnel reminding visitors of transport rules. So mga kani sila is ang mga security personnel. Sila ang mo guide sa tuak through to follow the rules of the kani mga parking area or sa mga nakabutang nga signage. So, kani siya like hard measures, fines, restrictions, and patrol enforcement like mga patrol enforcement. Sila sa mga security personnel and also patrol enforcement, sila ang mo guide sa tuwa through to follow the rules. Okay, so I have economic and marketing tools. Economic strategies can be used to influence visitors' behavior, regulate tourism's demand, and enhance sustainability. So they have different pricing strategies. So adjusting entries, fees, and also accommodation costs and tourism service based on seasonality of visitors' demographics. So kani siya kita nga usa nga mga travelers maka-encourage ma-encourage pud ta sa ing-ani nga higayon like sa pag-travel kaysa sa kanindot sa ato ang environment karon mao na nga ma-encourage ta og kani like laag-laag or travel nga na. So kaning maka-visit ta og mga lain-laing accommodations. So mao na siya. Okay, so marketing tools and visitors management. Marketing tools helps influence tourist decision making to promote responsible behavior and ensure sustainable sites usage. So kita nga mga tourist dapat maka-help ta to responsible travelers or responsible like dili like sa karon ang atong matabang sa environment karon is dili ta magpatakag labay sa mga basura kaya para dili siya ingon nga always kaning limpyo ang atong environment. So para madali na to promote ato ang environment, so ang atong matabang is dili ta magpatakag labay sa atong mga basura. Okay, so technology use. Technology plays a vital role in enhancing visitor experience, managing tourism impacts, and promoting sustainability in destinations. So for now, I have a smart facility designs for sustainability, tourism infrastructures, and incorporates eco-friendly design to minimize environmental footprints. So, Sa kana siya nga part is sa karon high tech naman kahit ano technology naman ang atong gamit karon. So dali ra kay ta maka-promote sa ato ang hotel through the technology. Kay ato ra man expose sa social media, then to advertise sa social media, mo na makadali ra ta maka-create maka-adapt sa mga unsa nga accommodation nga nindot karon. So dali ra pud ta maka infrastructures o maka-cooperate kay ngano ang price kay friendly ra pud kaayo ang atong price. So minimize to environment. I have geographic and navigation technologies. And technologies advancements helps monitor and regulate visitors' movement. So karon sa imuhang hotel, so kailangan very high tech pud kay kano dapat always jud ka mag-monitor through GIS Geographic Information System. So dali ra jud na nimo siya dali ra ka makatabang sa imuhang hotel through the GIS tungod kay dali ra nimo siya ma-monitor. And also digital visitors flow and crowd management. Sa imuhang company or sa imuhang hotel kailangan monitor sa akong nasulti ganina kailangan nimo siya monitoron like dapat always ka mag monitor sa imuhang hotel ug unsay nahitabo like makibaw ka nga kaning daghan ng tao or crowding na kaayo, so dapat imog yun na siya, dapat mag-allow kag tracking sa mga turismo nga naglihok sa imuhang hotel para makibalo kung unsay nahitabo. And communication and information technology enables to efficient education and engagements mobile apps, and also digital guides provides instant access and tourism information regulations and conversations guidelines. So kung ikaw usa ka staff sa kaning hotel, kailangan ay mohang mga kaning mga nag-book sa imuhang hotel is kailangan imo siyang i-tour sa inyong hotel para makabalo sa ang mga kaning nagpa-booking sa inyong hotel nga unsay naa-adjud sa inyong kwan. Dili lang kay sa pictures lang sila nakakita sa inyong mga unsa dira, kailangan kabalo sa sila asa na dapit unsa na nga kaning unsay design unsay kaning kaanindot ana. And also this part is very very important of your hotel, not for hotel ra like pwede po din sa mall. Some safety technologies, tourism sites adapt digital tools and to improve security environmental monitoring through CCTV sites. So kani magbutang kag CCTV like atura sa part nga kani sensitive, atura ka magbutang, dili nimo siya ingon nga i-hold jud nimo siya butang tanan like diri nga side butangan diri nga side, dili magbutang kag CCTV like sa sensitive lang nga area like kanang murag tago nga area or unsa nga kani like area basta kay sensitive nga area. So okay, education and interpretations. Education and interpretations play a crucial role in visitors management's helping to enhance visitors' appreciations of natural and cultural sites, encourage responsible behavior and awareness campaigns, fosters conversations aids by deepening emotional and intellectual connections between visitors and destinations. So, para maginahan sad, maengganyo sad ang kaning visitor sa inyong hotel, dapat ma-appreciate sa kaning visitor ang unsay inyong culture sites. Pa, ma, dapat kung ma-encourage man gani ang visitor sa inyo, dapat kamo or kita responsible sa ta true kung unsa gid ta, kung unsay kinaiya nato, dapat responsible. And then kung makig-talk man ta sa ato ang visitors, kailangan what I said earlier, responsible and then respectful. So educational tools for visitors management, interpretations resource can shape visitor behavior, reduce environmental impacts, and improve overall tourism sustainability. They have on-site interpretation center and also guided tour and visitor education programs. One-site interpretation centers, they have provide videos and interactive displays and also on theme exhibitions to educate visitors. So, sa on-site, dapat maka-provide ka og videos to interactive maka-interact sa mga tao. And then, kung mag-exhibit, kung na-exhibit, pwede. Para dili ilaayan ang mga visitors nga may visit sa inyong hotel. And then, kung ang mga tour guide, so sila ang mo guide o mo explain ug sa katong what I said earlier at mga naay exhibit or kato ug unsa pa nga naa ang nindo sa inyong hotel, dapat i-explain na sa tour guide ug unsay naa dira.